In 2019, 34% of divorces were age 50 and above, all that 20, 25 plus year marriage, and 12% are couples that have been together 40 years or better.
Oh my goodness.
Selling the family home that your kids grew up in for 30 years or 20 years, there's
emotion,
lots of emotion.
Women above the age of 50, divorce rate has doubled since the 1990s. And couples above the age of 65 have tripled the divorce rate since the 1990s.
When you're 20, 30, even 40 going through a divorce, you have years to hopefully make up and accumulate more wealth. When we're older, those years are precious. There are not as many left, and we want to make them count.
Today's episode is brought to you by Security Financial Management.
Well, welcome back to another session of Suzanne's Lifestyle Series. Suzanne, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Robert.
Welcome back. Thank you
It's
so much for being back. You had a lot of attention on your last video, so
Absolutely.
we thought let's keep it rolling.
Got to keep it rolling. I always like to read the comments and stuff because it gives you good ideas to bounce off of and everything. And great responses to everybody. So I hope the information could help folks going through a tough time.
And it seems that they want to get a little more details into this whole divorce era that we're living in, huh?
Well, hopefully it's not an error, but it is more prevalent. Being that I've gone through it, divorce is not easy at any stage of the game. However, when you're in your 20s, 30s, even to mid-40s, when you get divorced, it's kind of one thing that happens, and that's a whole nother section. But the point I want to bring up with that is when you go through that, you have children's expenses, student loans, car payments, you have all this stuff. And if your kids are playing baseball, basketball, it's a lot. And if you have jobs, maybe one of the parents is staying home and the other is full-time. Most of your wealth, you're just accruing it. It's right there in your 401ks. And so when you get divorced, it's kind of an ouch. And that's the bitterness because one person's going, this is my bucket of money, and you have to split it with the other spouse. It's hard, I get it. Husband and wife comes in, they're getting ready to retire. They have 2 Social Securities, maybe 2 pensions. They have some wealth.
Makes sense.
And you could afford to retire and afford to live and enjoy life. But you take that same couple and you split that money. It's kind of tough. An average, what's an average 1-bedroom apartment here in Orlando?
$2,200.
Well, my area of town's like $1,500, but if you still have a child's home, rent in an apartment's going to be about $2,200, and then if you have insurances and car payments, it's not going to be cheap. So two's always better than one. I mean, that's definitely important there. You're splitting up these assets. You don't have time to accumulate more wealth. As I keep saying, time is precious. You just want to make it count. And you have to put in the homework. You have to put in the time. You got to run the numbers. You got to know what you have. What are your liabilities? Where's the wealth? So the first thing I tell folks is know your assets and liabilities. Again, with liabilities, as you are in your 50s and 60s, you are paying off debt. Chances are you have a lot of appreciation in your home because you've paid down the mortgage, you've had it for a long time. You have funded your 401ks, you've paid off debt. You may or may not have kids in college. I don't know, or maybe your kids are just ending high school. But chances are you have wealth accumulated there from 20, 30 years. And with that, what is your liability? You may have a mortgage still. Maybe you have a car payment. Maybe there's one. Maybe there's some college for the kids. Maybe you just paid off a wedding. I don't know. but hopefully there's not a lot of liabilities there. This is about your future. You got to be really aware. So first budget I would do is, what are your fixed costs? What is it going to cost you to put a roof over your head? Your insurance costs, your car costs, your electric costs, your Wi-Fi, cable, whatever it is. You'll have fixed costs. Find yourself a good CPA that can help you with taxes and understand the numbers. Find yourself a good financial advisor to work on the numbers. What are you going to need in cash flow? Get a good counselor, a good therapist, because there's a lot going on. The one thing that you don't want to make a mistake on is getting the emotional side. Well, I have to have that. Well, you know, having to have it and affording it are two different things. So work with somebody who can really help you. And I tell people these are temporary situations, but in a great divorce, every dollar counts. You know, you're 60, 65, and 20 years from now, you're looking at your retirement home, and you gotta know what you have and how the money's going to sustain you. And if you don't, you'll run into trouble and run out of money. And you don't want to be 90.
No.
Going back to work. It comes down to planning and working with good people that have your back and that you could trust. The next segment I'd like to do is do a mock financial plan. We'll do it live, and we'll look at it. We'll keep it pretty simple, but just give the audience an idea of how money could grow, and if you take too much money out, how it's not going to grow. But it shows the power of it. But it makes you be aware of your bucket. And if you don't see what you have and don't know how long it's going to last, it's scary.
Stay tuned for next segment where Suzanne will walk you through a financial plan. If you want to have a one-on-one with Suzanne, there's a link in the description right here. She'd be glad to talk to you one-on-one. There's also a book that Suzanne wrote in the description. She usually sells that for $30, but it's free today if you want to click the link below. Until next time, guys, remember, folks, the secret to wealth is not what you earn, it's what you keep.
Look forward to seeing you then.
Happy days.
Bye.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not intended as personal financial advice. Before making any financial decision, please do your own research and consult a financial advisor as needed.